What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? I know it's been a while. Life got a little bit busy, and but finally have time. And I think to shake off the cobwebs, to shake off the rustiness. Today we have a short video, and this short video we're talking about Bennett. All right. I think that if you guys have been playing for a while, you know that Bennett is one of the most prized 4 stars in the game, or even one of the most prized supports in the game. That being said, when it comes to Bennett, there's always one topic that has always been very contentious. If you go onto YouTube, if you go onto Reddit, you will see many people talking about this topic, and many of you may know about this by now. And this topic is in regards to his Constellation 6. Today in this video, we're going to be talking about whether you should activate it and in what circumstances would you not. So before we begin, do note that I stream live on Twitch, link in the description below, and that if you like this video, thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Let's begin. Alright, so Bennett, before we talk about his Constellation 6, I think we need to talk about Bennett's kit to see why he is prized in the very first place. Bennett's ultimate, Fantastic Voyage. All right, basically he throws down this field called the Inspiration Field. Is that circle that you see when he uses his ult. And Bennett, it does have healing, although it's I think it's kind of mid, to be honest. His healing itself is kind of mid. The thing about Bennett is that if for characters within that circle, all right, the AoE, they will have an attack bonus that is based on Bennett's base attack, which is basically this base attack plus your weapon, right? So yeah, so that's why Bennett is a very prized character, because he's one of the best attack buffers in the game, even up to today. And so because of his value, especially from his ultimate, many players really want to pair him with like their DPS characters, whether is it Xiangling, whether is it like, I don't know, any character like Navia recently. Many people want to play Bennett with them because obviously you make your DPS a lot stronger. So how does that relate to his C6? Alright, so basically for the C6 sword, claymore, or polearm wielding characters, these characters will get a 15% pyro damage bonus. Sounds pretty alright. And also the weapons are infused with pyro, and then this is where the contention comes in. Alright, so basically what happens is that because how it happens is that the ultimate basically constantly applies pyro. Alright, you get pyro infusion. That's why sometimes you're fighting against like hydro bosses, the bosses can actually like, vaporize you. That being said, because your character is constantly being imbued with pyro, this is where the pyro infusion comes in. So what happens is that characters that do not want their normal attacks to be infused with pyro, right, will have a downside. So from the very release of Genshin, like characters like Razor, characters like Keqing, people used to play physical Keqing, for example, in the early days. Those were dark days. Crazy thing about it. Yeah, these characters wouldn't want a pyro infusion because, for example, these characters will want to have their normal attacks. For example, like Eula wants to be physical because she's a physical damage dealer. She wants her basic attacks to deal physical damage because that's where her most damage output comes from. And even when we go towards Inazuma characters, for example, if you look at Ayaka, right? Ayaka, her cryo infusion through her dash, even if she were to step into the circle, her basic attacks or charge attacks would then be infused with pyro as per Bennett's C6. So at that point, at that point in time, these characters did not have the supports that we have right now. For example, when Ayaka was released, she was the best support. Shenhe did not come out until 2.4, if I'm not wrong. Eula, her best supports No, this is not Eula. I don't have Eula, but like her best supports came in much later, like Furina, like Mika, for example. These characters came in much later, and so at that point of time of release, Bennett was one of the best characters that could work with them. But if you were to put the C6 on his, if you activate the C6, then the damage potential would not be met because of the pyro infusion. So that's where a lot of issues come in. Let me see where Keqing's one is. Yeah, so Keqing as well. So even like if you're using like her for electro damage, the electro infusion, sorry, that's not the one. Where is it? Wait, where is it? Oh, here, sorry. Thundering Penance, right? Thundering Penance, you get electro infusion. So as you notice, right, these characters that want to keep their elements, or in the case of Eula or Razor, or their non-element present, because the physical element present, because they want to maximize the damage in that element. And so for many months upon Genshin's release, many people will say, oh, do not do Bennett C6, do not use it because it makes your account worse, because your supports will be doing less damage because of it. And so that's why many players, myself included, did not activate this for a very, very long time. However, as I was mentioning, for these characters that were negatively affected by Bennett, they receive much better supports in the future. I already mentioned about Shenhe being one of the best supports for Ayaka, and in a freeze team, which is her premier team, you don't need Bennett because obviously Bennett is neither Cryo or Hydro. And then for Keqing, when Dendro came out, Dendro became her best team, and she rather have characters like Fisher, characters like Dendro Traveler, or eventually Nahida that came out later. And then I also mentioned about Eula as well. Eula, her best teams like Raiden, Mika, and stuff like that. And so eventually, these characters that were negatively affected, top of the meta, Ayaka was meta at that point in time. These characters had had accessibility to better supports, or their best in slot supports. I did not need Bennett, so Bennett could go to the other team where you would rather have them on. So that was the first thing that like Hoyoverse did to like kind of remedy this situation by giving them a best in slot team that did not require Bennett at all. The second thing that they did was that they started introducing characters that had infusions that cannot be overridden. And okay, I know that Alhaitham is never ever paired with Bennett, but if you were to look at Alhaitham's infusion, which is somewhere here. Oh, sorry, not this one. Let me find it. I know it's somewhere. Okay, sorry, over here. So the Chisel Light Mirrors, right? When you get the Chisel Light Mirrors, you get Dendro damage, Dendro infusion. And you notice that many of these kits nowadays has this portion where the infusion cannot be overridden. So obviously, Alhaitham is a bad example because you would never use Alhaitham with Bennett. Except maybe Burgeon, but that's another question altogether. But if you look at Navia, for example, right? Navia gets... So not this one. Navia gets Joe infusion, we cannot be overridden. So same thing as well. Bennett is one of our best supports, right? Which is pretty good because Navia would never have a pyro infusion, or at least will not have the Geo infusion overridden by the pyro infusion. And so many of the newer kits has been tailored in that way to prevent this Bennett C6 problem from ever happening. However, not all characters have this. All right, so that is not really a modern solution because not all modern characters have this cannot be overridden problem. One of these characters that have this issue is Lynette. So Lynette, for those of you who have C6, you have the C6 for Lynette. When you use a skill, which is the animatic feints, she will gain animal infusion for 6 seconds. And as you notice, in this part of a kit, they did not say that Lynette's infusion cannot be overridden. What this means is that if you were to ever use Lynette with Bennett at C6, Bennett will override her animal infusion and she'll be dealing pyro attacks. And personally, that is why I did not do the C6 on Bennett, because I have actually liked using Lynette. I actually have Lynette built, although it's kind of a cope build, but I actually have her build. Her talents are a little bit leveled up and stuff like that. I am trying to do a Spiral Abyss run and a showcase with C6 and Lynette one day, and that's the reason why I have not done the C6 on Bennett, is because I want Lynette to perform at her optimal with the animal infusion, and and not get it overridden by Bennett C6. So in that case, right, well, is Bennett C6 good or bad? The answer is, of course, it depends. If there are any, so look through your roster, right? If let's say you've not done this yet at all, look through your roster and see if there's any characters that you want to pair Bennett with that have an elemental infusion. If any of these characters do not have, or in the case if you're using Eula, right? All right, physical. And if these characters do not have an overridden mechanic like Navias, for example, then maybe it's right for you to not do it. But if you are someone who are not using these characters, if you're a person who say like, I'm not building up Lynette, I'm not building up Eula, I'm not using Eula with Bennett at all, I don't use Ayaka with Bennett at all, for example, then that could be a situation where you're like, okay, I can do it, I can put it on. So it really depends for each player, and obviously there is no right or wrong answer, right? Even if you as a player, don't fall in the second category but still do not want to do it, it is still fine. All right, yes, you're losing on the 15% bonus, but at the same time, the characters, like, who are the characters that technically could benefit from this 15% bonus anyways? Arlecchino, maybe? Arlecchino can benefit from that, but it's up to you whether you want it, D-look and stuff like that. So I would say, like I said, look at your account. What are your main DPS in your characters? What are the characters that you want to play? And then decide whether Bennett positively or negatively harms their DPS or their offense. So that's about it, right? Just a pretty short video talking about this. Like I said, in my situation, I will not activate it because I like to play with Lynette, like in game, obviously. I like to use Lynette, and I'm really trying to, at the very least, I'm trying to do an Abyss run with her, and then maybe after that decide whether I want to do the C6 or not. But yeah, I think for each one of you, you should look at your account, decide. I can't tell you yes or no, but look at who Bennett requires and then make the decision for yourself. So yeah, really appreciate all of you being here. Like I said, first video in a while, I would like to make a short video just to talk about this topic because I think it is very, very, even up today, today is 16th of August. We just had a live stream about 10 hours ago for Netland, and people are still debating about this. So hopefully this does clarify some of your doubts for those of you who are watching. Like I said, make your own decision based on your account. And yeah, let me know whether you have done it. And obviously the answer is Genshin, Hoyoverse have an option to toggle constellations. I think that's the most important thing that we should have for characters like these. Anyways, thank you for watching this video, much appreciated. If you like this video, don't forget to thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And do note that I stream live on Twitch, link in the description below. And hopefully next video will be a little bit nicer. We talk about some pre-Netland stuff. But until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.